Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, we could really use your help. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, recently named the Too Opinionated podcast one of its top 100 podcasts. This is a monumental feat for this program. You know, we're a father and son team out of a small town in West Virginia, have been doing this for about 5 years. There's 15 million podcasts out there. About 40,000 of those get to the point that they're listed on IMDb. Out of those 40,000 out of the 15 million, we were ranked number 82. Something that we're just immensely proud of. We're so thankful for our listeners, our watchers, our fans. Thank you so, so much. If you would like to help us out, and we're asking for it, please. It's easy. It's really easy. It's free. If you go to IMDb, that's imdb.com, look up Too Opinionated Podcast, and just take a look at the page. That's all you have to do. I mean, you're welcome to look at the cast, look at the episodes so you can kind of see who's been on the program. Do whatever you want. But even just bringing up the page, imdb.com, Too Opinionated Podcast, bring up the page, look at it. That helps us so much. So please, if you can do anything, we would really appreciate that. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Love to have your subscription there. It's also free. And you can also check out our website, meistercon.com, where you'll find almost 700 episodes, audio and video, available on there. There's also a terrific blog from Brett, and it'll let you know anything that we have going on in studio, if we're covering a convention, if we're going on location, anything that we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so, so much. We appreciate you so much. I can't express enough how appreciative we are of all of you. We never expected to do as well as we have, and that's all because of you. Thank you so much. Enjoy that interview. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. So excited today. Got actor Arjay Smith with me. Welcome, Arjay.
Woo, 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 woo.
I couldn't hardly get your name out. It wasn't hard.
No, it was quite easy. You did amazing. That was stellar.
I'm so excited just to talk to you. I got tongue-tied for a second.
Oh man, I definitely want. I'm excited to talk to you too. I know this is going to be a fun chat. This is going to be a good chat.
I've been watching your career for like 30 years. You've been doing this for a while.
I have been, brother. It is oh man. You know, someone just the other day said I act like an old man. I said it's because I am an old man. I've been doing this for 31 years, and this April will mark 30 years in the union. Wow. So I'm a certified SAG-AFTRA member.
It's just shocking that it's been so long. But when I was kind of thinking through, like, you know, I tried to do the research and stuff. I was thinking through what I'd seen you in. I remember you being on NYPD Blue.
Oh my gosh. One of my
Charmed.
Another great show, by the way. Yes. NYPD Blue was so much fun. I actually just told someone too a couple days ago. So it all got started with my first commercial, which was at the age of 10. It was one of the first all-sport commercials. And guess who was in it?
Who?
Shaquille O'Neal.
No way.
And I got to do a commercial with Shaquille O'Neal. My brother Taj Mowry was in it as well.
Were you playing ball?
Well, no. So we were playing like his grandkids, right? So he was Grandpa Shaq. And so we were like, Grandpa Shaq, tell us about basketball and what it used to be. And he just goes through his whole little speech about, you know, how the game has changed. And they flew us out to Orlando to do that because that's when he was with the Magic. And man, when I tell you, I caught the bug because you're like, wow, it's actually pretty cool. I think I could turn this into a career. But the inspiration, though, what got me even wanting to do acting was Macaulay Culkin. Shout out to Macaulay, Home Alone. I was 8 years old, and I was like, that seems like a cool thing to do. And
people forget just how good an actor he was. Still is. But I mean, just as a kid, he was an amazing actor.
Well, it's like too, like, you know, I hate to be the compare bug, but it's like when you see over the last, I say 30 years, where child acting has gone. There's some good talent out there, but there's also just it feels like the child is forced, not that they're truly passionate about it.
Yeah, I
And
think that happens a lot.
oh, it happens way often than it should. As a child actor, I know what it's like to truly be passionate. And then I know what it's like when your mama, your dad wants you to help pay the bills.
Yeah.
You
Forcing
know,
you to be passionate about it.
forcing you to be passionate about something, right? So I see less passion. But kudos to Macaulay. He was very much so a passionate kid. I mean, Home Alone, then you got to think about The Good Son, right? Where he played the bad guy.
Well, he was in, what was the that girl or this girl? What
That
was
girl,
this?
yeah.
My girl. Was it my
My
girl?
girl. That's the one we had. I think he got hit by the bumblebees, right?
Yeah, I got the bees
Yeah,
got him.
yeah. Got the bees got to him. Bees got to him in that one. Yeah, the dude is so dope. Richie Rich, was he Richie
He
Rich?
was Richie
Yeah,
Rich.
yeah. He was Richie Rich. I
Yeah,
mean, we
good
can go
actor.
down his
That's a good one to
IMDb.
kind of, use as a role model, I think, if
Oh
you're
my
a
god.
kid.
Oh my gosh. He was amazing, and it's still authentic, that inspiration to this day. So 30 years later, still loving what I'm doing. I definitely know that the foundational point was beautiful and authentic, and I think that's why the harvest and all the great jobs I've had in 30 years shows, because I really do love this. I'm having a blast. I still am having a
Yeah,
blast.
I love that. So after the commercial, did you go and enroll in some classes, or did you wait till you got into school and then take theater, or how'd that work?
Interesting enough, working in the business this long allowed me to kind of have like classes while on set. I
Yeah.
did take classes, here or there. I did a couple theater classes, but a lot of the, I should say, just nuggets I was picking up on just came from actually being on set.
Yeah.
So growing up and eventually you're around people like LeVar Burton, you're picking up just little nuances and how to be not only a thespian, but also how to be a thespian in show business, how to carry yourself in
Hmm.
front and behind the camera. So just certain lessons, a school couldn't necessarily teach. I was very much privy to get this organic approach because I was constantly working so much. I'm an advocate of classes. Definitely people should take classes. But when you're on set at 10,
Yeah.
11, 12, then I shoot over to, Nickelodeon at 13 with my own show. It's like you're learning right then and there. So
Yeah. Yeah,
you're getting
that I guess that's true. With that,
gold.
kind of like the argument of, do you get the college degree or is the work experience
Which
enough?
one? Yeah, right. I think they're both crucial. It's just a matter of what time of your life, what phase of your life those moments pop up. Like one day, I do want to go back to school. I would like to go to school. I would like to add a degree
Yeah, of
to
course.
my credits, right? Like that'd be awesome. But most people go to school to create or establish a career.
That's right.
So
That's
if
right.
my career is
But you're
not
already
broken,
there.
I'm there. I don't want to stop it or, completely dismantle it to go get a degree, but I do advocate having a degree.
That's right.
And so, it is definitely in my bucket list of things to accomplish before leaving this earth. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you on an episode of ER?
Sure was. I sure was on an episode of ER. It was phenomenal too. I remember that was one of my first auditions where I was super comfortable to ask the casting director and the producers if I could truly just act out the moment right then and there. So my character was on a gurney. And so in the audition, I said, they're like, "Do you have any questions, RJ?" I said, "Oh, I think I'm okay. I just wanted to know, would it be okay if I do this audition on the ground?" And they looked at me like, I mean, he is on a gurney. Sure. Why? Like, why not? I did that whole audition on the ground, Michael. I was just right there, laid
What
down.
made you think of that might help?
Well, at that time, and rest his soul, Kelvin Reese, my dialogue coach at that time,
Yeah.
he was definitely a huge source of inspiration for me thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, being an artist, you have to be comfortable, right? And so the biggest thing I teach people is you have to be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. And so stepping out, my coach at that time was like, hey, you really should just lay down when you go in there. And initially I was like, okay, lay down. But I mean, after a few moments, I said, okay, I can do that. Like I have the confidence. I know my dialogue. Let's just act like I'm already on set when I go into this audition room.
Yeah.
Let's just act like we're there. Right. I left that audition room. I'll never forget those producers, the casting people. They just looked at me like, yeah, we'll be seeing you in a few days. And it was later that day, I got the call from my agent. He was like, well, you booked, you booked ER. So
I
you're
mean,
going.
that has to feel good
Yeah.
as a kid.
Oh, it feels phenomenal. I mean, it
Yeah.
feels phenomenal on, yes, here's what's so interesting too. I don't know if people would think about this perspective. I'm a 40-year-old man, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm booking a job, yes, I love what I'm doing, but I've got a wife, I've got 2 kids,
That's
I've
right.
got bills, right? So you're like, I need this
That's
job,
right. Yeah. It's not
right?
just for fun.
Not just for fun anymore, but when you're 10, 11, 12, 13, it's just pure, honest appreciation of the art. You're just having a good time, right? So there's not all these, hindrances or these just kind of interferences towards you actually doing your best. You're not sidetracked or distracted by certain things that you naturally get distracted by when you're a 40-year-old man, right? I got
Right.
to think my knees. I'm thinking about my knees at 40 years old. I'm in physical therapy right now. Like, dang, what the hell? Right? Those kind of things aren't really in your mental Rolodex
No,
when
you
you're
don't. At 10, you don't worry about anything. You're just having
I
fun.
think just have fun. Just having an honest, good time. And so that's why I knew even, especially like going into my teenage years, that I was really having fun and that I was really passionate about this. And I really respected the art.
Yeah.
It's like you have to really respect what you're doing. So I was very privileged with some awesome experiences and accomplishments at such a young age. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And to headline a show, especially back then on Nickelodeon, I mean, Nickelodeon was kind of where it was at back then.
Brother, let me tell you right now, that was a huge hurdle, on so many levels from an artistic standpoint, from an ethnic standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll never forget at that time, Nickelodeon's biggest issue, and I can tell the story now, but they were concerned if their number one star, being African American, would pull in proper sponsorship because he's talking about the
Really.
late 90s. And so it's one of those things. If your star is African American, are people going to buy into this? I'm
Yeah.
playing an alien. Is that going to hit certain people's nerves? Minority playing an alien, right?
You
All
know,
these
it,
different
it yeah,
variables.
it's kind of upsetting because that wasn't that long ago.
No, no, it was
You'd
not.
think by the 90s we'd have had that kind of nonsense taken care of, but we're
No,
still dealing with some of that now.
we're still dealing with that kind of stuff to this day. I mean, when you look at American Fiction, the movie that just recently came out, that book was written, I think, in 2001 or two. So it was written 20 plus years ago. All but the content in that book, in that film, is still relevant, obviously, in today's time. So yeah, back in the 90s, we were still dealing with some really crappy politics in show business.
Yeah, that's just
Um,
terrible.
yeah.
Well,
And
and of
think
course, as a kid, you probably didn't know any of that.
you don't really know the specifics of um you don't really know the specifics of the agenda, right? Or just again the politics, but you're aware something's going on because of
Right.
certain things like delay. Like, okay,
Right.
it took them a while to say yes to me. So you're like, well, why is it taking a week? My agent keeps saying, hey, you're in the mix. They really like you. You're
Yeah.
like, okay, it didn't take ER this long. Like,
Well,
okay.
was that them trying to find somebody that they thought would make
That's
more?
That's the thing. You never know, right?
Yeah.
You that at this point, I assume it's them going through the whole, diaspora of, okay, let's cross all our T's, let's dot all our I's, let's make sure, can this work? And the interesting part of can it work, you really never know until you do it, right? That's the beauty of show business. Like you can think something's going to become the next big thing, or you could think something is not powerful at all. It's all based on the audience, right? It's based on the audience, how they receive it, how they digest what they're seeing. There is also the responsibility of the producers, the writers, the actors. How are you performing this? I remember when I got the audition for Alan Strange, I almost didn't do it because I asked my agent. I said, "Hey, look, yeah, I'm 13, but I'm quite aware of what's going on." I said, "Am I gonna have to like dress up in like green paint and wear abstract clothing?" I said, "Because if so, I'd rather not put myself out there like that kind of an actor." My agent came back, found out. He was like, "No, no, no, it's going to be special effects. You'll get to be yourself." I was like, "Okay." And then once again, shout out to my dialogue coach. He said, "Look, you got to go in there different. Especially if you're African American. What is your perception of humanity?" So it's like also what's quite interesting as an African American, I always think about what my perception is of being in this country. As a young kid, I took that perception, then matched it with what if someone is coming to planet Earth, has no idea what's manifesting, what's going on, what's this, what's that, but the integrity of themselves, when they look and observe, it's very optimistic for them, right? So my dialogue coach said, you look at everything as a positive. You're not seeing the negative. For you, it's like, this is great. I've just stowed away from my home. I'm coming to this new place. Sky's the limit. So everything about Alan Strange going into that role, I said, hey, this guy's optimistic. Then I went deeper and said, okay, with my cadence, how does he sound? So I studied data from Star Trek, the movie Starman.
Oh yeah, great movie.
These are different things I was watching. Brother from Another Planet. I just watched these films and was like, okay, what was their approach to playing a foreign entity, right?
Yeah.
And put all that together, and then I got Alan Strange in 3 seasons of playing an alien. I had a blast. But we broke some records too on that show. We were
Nickelodeon. Oh yeah, it was a good show.
We were Nickelodeon's first show to get picked up for 2 seasons while filming season 1. So we hadn't finished filming season 1, and we got picked up for 2 while we were still filming the first one.
Great.
So yeah. So
yeah, my kids watched that through the 90s. That was when they were, in their early teenage years. They were
oh, good times. Oh, 90s. There's some interesting times.
I know. I'm at that age where it feels like it was yesterday, and then it also feels like it's been 30 years.
It does. I mean, just think about, I think what makes that kind of dichotomy so true is like, you don't feel as old as you should think you should feel until you look at things like technology.
Right. Yeah.
Like cell phones, like they used to be huge.
Well, yeah. I didn't have those growing up at all. Right. Those started showing up in the late 80s.
Yeah, I'm 83. I didn't. There's no cell phone.
No, I remember getting cable. We didn't. We didn't have cable till like the late 70s. Oh, and when we got it, it was.
You don't remember cable? You're looking good, bro. It's like I thought we were close in age.
No. I told you, I'm Pawpaw.
I know. Oh man.
But yeah, I remember getting cable, and it was the only difference in cable was the picture was better, but the only extra channel we got was TBS.
TBS. Oh man.
I mean, we got PBS where you didn't have to turn the small dial.
Right.
It was on the regular dial, but that was the only difference with
my
with
parents
cable.
My parents tell me these stories. I as an 80s baby, I remember the rabbit ears, so the antennas.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I remember you having to turn the TV on, and then we would go about our day simply because you had to let the TV warm up for hours.
Oh yeah, it takes forever.
Because if you didn't turn it on early in the day, by the time you got home at night and you then turned it on, there was no picture. So you had to let the TV pretty much warm up all day. So by the time you wanted to watch it,
wasn't a great system.
Hey, but we survived, right?
We survived and did just fine. I just watched the new episode of Young Sheldon. And I'm just bringing that up because they get a new TV.
Oh my gosh.
And everybody's just freaking out at how big it is. And they're like, how big is that? That looks amazing. It's 27 inches. And it
The
was one of
pilot,
those big, it probably weighed 400
oh
pounds.
yeah, 400 pounds. When I say 27, but weighs a ton.
Yeah.
That pilot of Young Sheldon, I still remember when I think it was at the end of the episode when he goes to Radio Shack. Like
Hey, Radio
I
Shack was the place for a little while.
a Radio Shack was like it was the Costco of
Yeah.
technology in
Yeah.
that time. You were like, oh my gosh, I need batteries, I need a Walkman, I need a VH player, I need any technology I can get. You either went to Fry's or you went to Radio Shack.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Oh
Radio
man,
Shack, I think, got crushed when Amazon came around.
they did. Unfortunately, I
That was
think.
one of them, I think, got hit pretty hard just from the ease of us being able to order the stuff on Amazon.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, you look at companies like Radio Shack, Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah, that's another one.
They got hit by streaming stuff because
Yeah.
I just think they felt that their system wouldn't go away, and it's like their system became antiquated so quick. Where you're
Yeah,
like,
it's
well,
really pretty fast. VHS did not last long.
no, no, no. I mean, it can't. As soon as they got DVDs, Blu-rays, all that stuff started coming quick, bro.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, guess I don't need my Blockbuster card anymore.
Hey, I'll tell you, I'll
Especially-
give you this will give you an idea how old I am. When I got my driver's license, I took
Mhm.
the family station wagon,
Oh
which
Lord.
was a 75 station
Oh,
wagon. I don't
Lord.
remember exactly what kind of car, but it had an 8-track.
Oh, 8 tracks. My grandmother's car had an 8.
There you go.
There you go.
I listened to a lot of Donna Summer and Stevie
Oh,
Wonder.
oh yeah.
Those were the 8 tracks that my parents had in the car.
Well, the classics, the
Yeah.
absolute classics.
That Donna Summer one was pretty good.
Oh, hey, no, classic music right there.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
classic.
she could.
I'm actually now too. My buddy and I, he just turned 40. He's one of my best friends. We've known each other since we were 3 years old. Shout out to you, Richie. We always laugh about once we hit our 40s, we were gonna be those guys that were like, get off my lawn kind of dudes. But when I listen to music now, I really start to see like, oh man,
Yeah.
I'm older because I'm a hip hop guy.
Well,
But
yeah, because you grew up in that era.
I grew up in that era, right? And I love current hip hop. Like I respect it. I say I love it. I respect it, but it is different.
Yeah.
So for my ears, I've had to, kind of tune them to the nature and content of the era we currently are in because it's just different. The things that these young kids are talking about. One phrase my niece had to get me, on board with was no cap. I was like, no cap.
I had a hard time figuring that one out. Somebody
Like
finally
there's no hat, like they're not wearing a hat, no cap, or like there's no gun, like because cap, cap for me that meant a different thing.
That's right.
Like what kind of cap are we talking about? Cap to the bottle? I had so many questions, and then I finally got it. She was just like, no, it's really simple, Unc. It just means like no lie. I was like,
yeah. So why not just say no lie?
Then I asked that question. That was my follow-up question. I said, so what's wrong with no lie?
Right. We already had a perfectly good.
We had a good phrase already, like no lie. Or just, that's not true.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, I definitely one thing, and it's so funny too, correlating that even with show business, entertainment has changed. Just the nature of programming, not only how we watch TV and film, but just the nature of technology with special effects and, even certain storylines. I mean, you got to think about it. Even in the 80s and the 90s, it was taboo if you had like interracial marriages on TV, right? Or
you rarely saw them.
Rarely. And then to talk about homosexuality, all these different things that are much freer to tackle 20, 30 years ago, wasn't necessarily that simple. And like you said, that's not that long ago. But 30 years ago, yeah, it was like certain subjects, you're like, we have to touch this very cautiously.
That's changing fast now.
Oh, I mean, now it's like I don't even know if there's any restrictions on.
I mean, it's been what now? It's only been a couple years since we got the male nudity on film which is taking me a time to adjust to.
Yeah, you know, I
It's a
think
little shocking at first.
it's shocking. You know, it's shocking simply because, you know, I recently had an audition where it said I would have to do nudity, and I was like, you know what, I guess I'm okay with that. And I still did the
Nobody
audition.
seems to care anymore, so I guess okay.
I think it's more so for me, especially with nudity. Nudity is such a weird thing. If it's appropriate to the story, I accept it. You know, it's
I
like
think that's
Jamie.
fair.
Well,
Yeah, if
well,
it
Jamie.
makes sense within context of
Yeah,
the
in
story.
context. Well, Jamie Foxx being butt naked upside down into Django. There's context there,
There is. That's right.
right? Like if that movie was very raw, but it was also showing you an essence of a reality at that time.
Yeah.
It may be jarring to see, but it's also like you must understand that this kind of thing happened. You know,
Right.
with black men being castrated and literally, you know, this kind of thing was real. So that kind of exposure, I understand and respect it, but I'm on the same boat with you. Where I'm like, I'm just not necessarily used to
Yeah, you
seeing
just
this.
gotta get used to it.
You got to get used to it, right? Your brain has to adapt to this. Like, whoa, it's a new visual. I just saw some guys rear end or the front part of the rear
Yeah.
view. You're like, okay, hey, all right.
Well, and it's it was shocking when it was women back in the
Okay.
70s when they
Yeah.
started kind of showing that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
and
yeah.
it makes sense that you would show men too. I get that. But we're not used to that.
Just not used to it, right? It's just not the clientele is not familiar with that kind of visual presence.
That's right.
Uh, um, but slowly but surely, they are becoming more familiar with that.
Well,
Um,
it's a good thing because just like the
yeah,
diversity is getting better,
amen.
we're starting to get content from outside the U.S. is coming in, and all of
Oh
that's
yeah,
probably good.
oh yeah,
It exposes us to so many different cultures and different
absolutely.
perspectives and all that. It's probably good, but right now it just seems like a change is happening very fast.
It's very quick. It's very quick, and I think what can become troublesome is as it's moving so fast, is everything being done tastefully? And that kind of goes back to like we were saying, if you're going to do certain things, i.e., nudity, it's like, okay, well, what is the point? What is the message? If it's just to just show a naked person, I'm not really for that,
That's
right?
right.
Or if
Although
it's just
when you said that half of the movies that came out in the 80s, that's what they were.
oh yeah,
That was the whole purpose of the movie.
yeah, everyone was like, oh, I'm gonna go see this because they're showing, you know,
Yeah.
I get to see some boobs. You're
Yeah.
like,
That's it. And the movies were terrible.
terrible.
I mean, there's a lot of good 80s movies, but those type of movies, they were terrible.
They're terrible.
But
They had
as a
no
teenager, I
message.
was there at the theater.
No message. No,
No, the story
no
was
great
terrible.
performances.
No. Yeah. Yeah, it was bad. So is the new season getting ready to start?
The new season officially launches today, February 20th.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was this week,
Yeah,
but
9 p.m.
exciting.
Official season 6 launches. I think my
Hard to
episode,
believe we're on season 6.
you know what? It's hard to believe that I've been a part of this amazing show for now 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I had no clue this was going to manifest in season 3 when I auditioned as the community center guy, right? So the backstory to this whole process and this whole lovely journey, my daughter's born in the summer of 2020. Several months later, I get this audition for the rookie. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, you know, everything's self-tape now. I said, I'm just gonna do this by myself and not have a reader. Because you know, most auditions you'll have someone else say
Right.
the lines off camera. I did it all by myself. I was like, I can do this. I know who this guy is. I see him. Boom, did it. Day later, my agent says, "Hey, you're on a veil for the rookie." I was like, oh wow, cool, great.
Yeah, not bad.
Following day, booked it. Within a week's time, I was on set. My brother-in-law had been working on the show already. He did not play a role as to why I got it though, but it was behind the scenes. And
Who's your
then
brother-in-law on the show?
Ozzy Scott.
Oh, Osby
Uh,
Scott. Okay.
yeah, Ozzy Scott, that's my bro. And I was friends with people in the wardrobe department. Shout out to Jewel. So I knew people on the show, but still I had to give the performance to get the
That's
job.
right.
When I saw that episode, my first episode when it came out, I got so much love. I mean, people like I hadn't even heard from in a while just hitting me up saying, "Man, you did such a great job."
This is a
But
good character.
it was a great character, and it was also on the heels of, George Floyd, what our economy was going through at that time. So it was a very pertinent message that the show was allowing to preach at a very
Right.
significant time. So you got to think about the climate of what America was going through. Now you've got this character who's being the voice box between the police and the community. It
Yeah.
was like a perfect storm. But for me, it was just the honor of playing James. I was like, wow, thank God I get to speak these words and have these teachable moments. That one teachable moment that Nathan's character and I have in the park. It was just awesome. Fast forward, I get a call. Hey, the rookie, about a month later, the rookie wants you back for another episode. I was like, okay, cool. They want some more community
Yeah.
guys.
All right. Community guys back.
Works for me. Come back, do a second episode. Then within a matter of like a couple of weeks, I get another call. Hey, rookie wants you back for third episode. This time, Michael, I'm reading the script, and it's hinting at I'm going to be asking my Makia Cox character, who plays Nyla, that James is going to be asking Nyla out on a date. I was like, oh, okay. I mean,
That's a
cool.
good sign.
It was a great sign, but again, I had no clue. I didn't see it. I was like, because her character was coming out of a divorce, right? So you're
Right.
like,
Right.
where's this going? That was season 3. Fast forward, season 4. I think I did like 5 or 6 episodes, and that was during that whole twister of a moment where she has her double date
Oh,
and
yeah.
she has to decide
She has to decide who she wants to stay with. Yeah.
who she wants to stay with. And all of a sudden, I start getting like messages from fans and even family and friends just being like, "Boy, I hope she picks you, man. I hope she picks you, dog. She needs to pick you, brother."
Well, we
Like,
were rooting for you.
I, I said, okay. That was season 4. Then fast forward, season 5, you know, married, have a daughter, all these things. And you're like, whoa, now we're season 6. So when you just mentioned like to be this far, season 6 in the show, and then my own side personal journey with the show off of an audition that I thought was just going to be a one-off. Hey, you got this community guy. He says what he needs to say. The show goes about this show and they do their thing. All of a sudden, that has bloomed into this amazing character, but as an actor and as a human being, just an amazing experience. I mean, from Sean Ashmore to Nathan, to Makia, everybody, the whole crew, Eric, Lisa, they are all true, just amazing people to work with, and that's something I say, you get what you reap what you sow.
That's right.
And I'm not a perfect person, but I strive to be a good person. And I prayed to be on a show like Rookie. I was like, I just want to be around people who know how to act,
Yeah.
who have a good sense about themselves, and just want to be nice global citizens at the end of the day and take care of their families. And literally, I've got that, right? No drama, no BS on this show. Behind the scenes, everyone truly gets along. And on screen, everyone can act. So you're like, wow.
I think that's the sneaky part about the show, because initially when it first came out, everybody was Nathan Fillion fan. Let's
Take
go,
the feeling,
let's go
right?
check out his new show. But then you
Correct.
get into it and it's an ensemble show.
Humble.
You know,
Yeah.
it's all the other characters that make the show so great. I mean, of course, yeah, Nathan does a terrific job, but if it was just him and the rest of the cast sucked, I
Oh my
don't
gosh.
think the show would work.
No, no. I mean, trust me. Shout out also to Melissa, Richard. I mean, these guys and women truly know how to hold their own.
Yeah,
And so that actually gives Nathan the ability to do so much more.
that's right.
It's
That's
like
right.
as an actor, if another actor is giving you this immense amount of vulnerability, then you get to play off that. Nathan's so good, and everyone on the show is good, where if they were working alongside a bad actor, they would still do a great job.
That's right.
But when you're working alongside someone who can give you something to pull from, it's only going to make that moment that much more magical.
Yeah.
And for my first episode, I'll never forget the director said something profound. He was like, literally, he said, make this a teachable moment, which is why when I talk about that scene, I mentioned that my character made it a teachable moment because the director allowed me to make it a teachable moment. The
Yeah.
director said, really dig in. Let this officer know like how you feel about his presence in your community, being that I'm a good guy. I'm not trying to attack this officer. I'm not trying to disrespect
Right.
this officer. So I'm coming from a place of benevolence. I'm coming from a place of good intentions. So truly hear my words. You're attacking us. Some of you are attacking us, and that's making things worse. Oh my gosh, such an epic moment. But then Nathan also gets to perform in his vulnerability off this very organic, beautiful moment. So it's like, yeah, when you've got people who love what they're doing, passionate about their craft, you're just going to pull
I
from
mean,
them.
you're
So
right. That was a great scene.
it's an amazing scene, man. It
Yeah.
was, I mean, for me, it was like, what made it so dope was I try not to watch my stuff now as I've gotten older. I just do it and I go home, right?
Yeah.
I got so many people hitting me up about it. That's why I wanted to watch it. I knew it was a good scene because I did the scene.
Right.
But to watch it, I said, whoa, I do now see what everyone saw. And I love that everything was properly conveyed in the moment as the actors. But I watched it, I said, dang, they're right. This is a really good.
It was. It was really good. Wasn't
It's
when last year the home invasion episode 2? You got that one?
Home Invasion was season, get my seasons right. Season 5. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I thought
Yep.
that was pretty good. You actually got to, got to
Oh,
do a little bit there. Get a little
I
action
got to
in
run
there.
outside with my robe around my waist, which was cool. My dad actually to this day still laughs about that. He's like, "You came outside half naked." I was like, "I did that. I did." Oh yeah, no, that invasion scene, that was so much fun. Makia being able to come out the water the way she
That was
did.
pretty awesome.
I mean, you're like, I get to say that's my TV wife. That's pretty dope, right?
Yeah.
And my actual wife is amazing. But that's another thing. It's like my actual wife, shout out to you, baby. She's incredible, right? She's incredible. And so I just made a post today on Instagram saying, as a happily married man, and then I tagged my wife, Brittany, as a happily married man, I said, it's such an honor to portray a happy marriage on screen. And I
I
then
love
went
that.
into how I'm thankful to ABC, thankful to the rookie, because I feel like I'm reflecting my life in many ways on this show, you
Yeah, I
know,
love that.
and I think that's just so serendipity, so universal praise where you're just like, wow, okay, good things can happen. Everyone goes through tough times. One of the more recent tough times I went through, I lost my grandmother, and
Sorry to hear that.
that's it sucks. It
Yeah,
hits. It's hard. It's painful. But I also look at the fact that I had a grandma,
that's right.
who I had a relationship with. My grandmother got to meet her great grandchildren, my children,
Yeah,
before she passed. My grandmother and my daughter share the same birthday, right? So it's just one of those things where you just go, if you focus on the negative, it will get you down. But
that's
if
right.
you focus on the beautiful, if you focus on the positive and give out as much good energy as you can, the universe will take care of you, dude. It really will take care
Yeah,
of you.
yeah.
You know,
Well, and the chemistry on set, from what I understand, is really
it's
really
authentic.
strong. We had Brent, plays
Oh,
Smitty. He came on the
Smitty,
show and he
Smitty,
talked about just how the chemistry's so good
yeah,
among everybody, guest stars, the main cast, everybody.
everything. No, Brent is that man is a beautiful man, by the way. That is
He's
a
a good
beautiful.
guy.
That's a beautiful human being.
Yeah.
And literally, he was on the show before I got on the show. But it's
His was
people,
kind of similar though. He was just kind of a bit part, and he thought it was
and
just a throwaway,
we
and he
talked
grew into it.
we literally have talked about that, how
Yeah.
both our characters, we just did not see the future of them. But what's nice is the show attracts like-minded people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So it's like talking to Brent, when you talk to him off camera, it's like, oh, I see why they love you. But then you're like, wow, I'm honored that they love me, because if I get to, if I'm tagged and pegged to be one of you guys, as far as like, you think I'm cool enough to be around on set, and you think I'm a good enough actor. I mean, trust me, the people that get coming up to me, Michael, on the street, just saying, you're on the rookie. You're married to Nyla. Oh, my, you married to a badass. Oh, you married to a badass. I'm like,
They're
well,
right. She's a badass.
she's badass. You're like, hey, I mean, I'm just kind of like just coasting in all the, the wind of just like, wow, her grace and her praise. I
Yeah.
get to kind of just coast in that. That's dope. Like, that's cool for that
Well, you know,
associate.
one thing I like about the rookie is they've had several main cast members leave
Yeah.
or be killed off, and
Yeah.
that's hard to replace. But they've done it, and
They've
you
done it
haven't really missed a
successfully.
beat.
No, they are honestly, season after season, they keep introducing new amazing talent.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's not new as far as like people new to the industry, but just new to the show.
Right.
They keep showcasing people who are talented, but what's awesome as an actor on the show, these are also amazing people when they're not performing. You
Yeah, and
know,
that's nice because yeah,
and
who wants to
that's
work with a
great.
jerk?
I ask this question all the time, but unfortunately, there are a lot of them in show business. So
Well, every profession, but
I'm gonna
yeah,
every profession, but there are some people, unfortunately, I have worked with, and you're like, man, I guess the talent speaks for itself, but I'll just leave it at that. But
yeah.
there are some not very easy people to work with in life, but definitely in show
Oh
business.
yeah.
And
A lot of egos too. You got to deal with.
a lot of egos. The one thing I will say, you have to control the ego because it's actually very easy to get caught up in
Right.
your self-image, to get caught up in, being prissy and self-absorbed, primarily because you have to think about this as an actor. They're pampering you all day. They're
Right.
putting the makeup on you. They're doing your hair. They're fixing your wardrobe. They're like, Mr. Smith, RJ, do you need anything? Can we get, oh, you go, let me throw that trash away for you. Like all these little things they're doing. And I know I'm so grateful for my mom because even as a young child actor, my mom would say, you go throw away your own darn trash. Okay. So I
That's
know
right.
that's their job, but you know, for
Good
the
for
most
her.
part, you go you find it first before they have to find you and throw it away for you. You go throw away your own trash, right?
That's
Uh,
good parenting. I mean, that's the way you are supposed to be. You know,
but
treat people the way you want to be treated. That type of thing.
that's like that's my mom raised a global citizen, right? You want to
Yeah.
raise global citizens, Mike. You want to raise kids to the point where when they go out into the world, other people are like, hey, I like your child. You
Yeah.
don't
That's
raise,
right.
I mean, it's got to be the very just deflating and uh somber when like your child is out here being a jerk and you're the one that raised the jerk,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like,
disappointing and upsetting because there's only one person to blame, or maybe two.
two, it could be one or two, but it's
Yeah.
like I mean, not a plethora of people to blame why that child is that way. I mean, and then you have to also take accountability for everyone's different. As we grow up, we become who we are,
That's right.
but who we become is heavily influenced by what we see. It
Yeah.
just is. And as a father, I see that all day, every day with my kids. Yeah, my kids are going to have their own personality, but my kids know respect. We have a phrase in our house. We say, we show respect, not, and then my kids recite, no disrespect, because that's what we do,
I
right?
like that.
We show respect. We show no disrespect. We don't disrespect people. It's
Yeah.
not what we do. But again, if I'm out here disrespecting myself or disrespecting their mom, then that's the imagery and that's the essence that they're receiving as babies. And they're like, well, daddy acts this way, then I guess that's tolerable. I guess that's acceptable.
That's right.
Since that's what he or mommy's doing X, Y, and Z, I guess that's acceptable. So you have to be mindful what you show. Um, to your children. But again, so as a child actor, yeah, I've been pampered my whole life being in show business. But I had a mom and father who basically said, hey, we put this in check. You get pampered on set, at work. But when your butt gets home, you still got laundry to do. You still got to clean up
Yeah,
your
it's
room.
good
You got to do
parenting.
your
Just keep
homework.
you grounded.
Keeps you grounded. And so, when you see these 20, 30, 40-year-old, 50-year-old non-grounded adults,
Yeah.
and you're asking them to be conscious of their surroundings or be mindful of how they speak to people, hey, they're used to being able to get away with disrespect. They're used to everybody, catering to them and no one challenging them, right?
Right.
It sucks, but it's like, how can you fault them? No one ever challenged them.
Yeah, they never learned any different.
They never learned anything different. No one ever told them. Most people never told them no. No is a very strong, strong word and phrase.
I heard no a lot growing up. Yes.
Man, I heard no way more than I heard yes.
You
But
you're old enough to remember the time too where most of us grew up in a neighborhood
mhm,
and
this is
everybody in the
course
neighborhood
my
helped
neighborhood.
police everybody else's kids. So,
That's
if
right.
I was at somebody else's house, they had permission to punish me if I was misbehaving, you know? And yeah, back then it was probably a spank, but
Yeah.
I know we're
Oh
not
yeah.
really doing that anymore.
But no,
But
we can't.
you never thought about doing anything necessarily wrong because you knew somebody was always watching.
Well, I grew up more afraid of my parents than the streets.
Yeah.
There are things. I grew up in Norwalk, California. So there are things in the streets that, you could get in trouble with, and, it could take you down a path that you don't really want to end up in. But I was more afraid of my at home discipline
Yeah.
than street discipline, right? Or police discipline, community discipline. But there was a time, and I think I'm towards the end of that era where the community aspect played a huge role in why you did or did not do certain things.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wait a minute, if I do this, it's gonna get back to my sister, who then might then tell my mom,
That's right.
oh man, if I do this, my buddy's mom might see me, and then she gonna talk to my mom, like, dang, okay, you know what? Let me not do that then.
Yeah. It kept you in line.
It kept you in line because you're like, that at home discipline was real.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want to suffer that. I don't need to
No,
suffer
I'd much
that
rather have gotten in trouble at school than at home.
than at home, right?
Yeah,
And that philosophy alone made you be a good student at school.
that's right.
Right.
Yeah, it
But
definitely did with me. All they had to do was look at me like
yeah,
they're upset, and
yeah.
that was all it took. I was like,
Well,
okay, I'll straighten up.
straighten up. I'll straighten
Yeah.
up. Look, we're not perfect. Look, my kids, they're gonna act up. I get that.
Well, they
But
all
they
do.
but we have this thing at home too, where like I'll be in the other room and I'll snap, and my daughter, just both of them come running, but my daughter, she'll come, why are you snapping? What's wrong? Because for her, she's like, daddy snapping means, uh-oh, something's up,
Somebody's in trouble.
right? We did something. Even if they're not in trouble, they just know it's serious mode. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
we're serious mode now. Those kind of attributes, those kind of qualities, they do good for the body as you get older,
yeah.
where you
Well,
could
it
just,
is. It builds that foundation.
oh yeah, well, it builds the foundation of, like, if you're out and about, if you're driving, right? Following the street signs, following the laws of the road, like being attentive. We all want to listen to our music in the car and have a good time, but you still have to be an attentive driver, right?
That's
You
right.
can't just be so loosey goosey where you're just like, whatever happens. No, 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 no. So having the duality and the ability to have a good time while also knowing when it's time to snap into seriousness, or when it's time to be sharp, when it's time to, evoke a certain level of intelligence. You got to know when it's time to be spiritual, when it's time to get
That's
into
right.
your divine moment. Like, life being, multifaceted and having the ability to live in multiple lanes is the point of life. And that's something I think that has disappointed me. I'm getting all deep here now, but it's disappointed me in our country, where I just feel like we aren't teaching young people multitasking. Now, what multitasking is a very broad statement, and technically speaking, you only can do one thing at a time. But knowing how to multitask in the sense of, hey, when you go to work, have a work face,
Right.
right? Be on course with the job you're providing. When you leave work, then turn into what you need to turn into, right? It's
Right.
okay to say, I've got my work face, then I've got my party face, then I've got my husband face.
That's right.
It's okay to do these different things. You don't have to be oh, I'm just mundane Blaine all the time, and this is how I am at work, at school, at home. You're like, dude, spice it up a little bit. We don't eat a meal every day, right? So
Yeah.
you could still be yourself while having, flavor. And my best description of that would be something like a mosaic. You
Yeah, I
know,
like that.
it forms an image, but it's comprised of different pieces that
Yeah.
make that entity. So, I think we got to get back to being flavorful in our country as opposed to being so bland. It's okay to know how to do different things emotionally, spiritually. It's okay, you know.
I love that. That's
I think
good
we got.
advice for all of us.
Thank you, brother. We got to bring it back. I mean, we got to bring it back. I remember growing up, man. I was roller skating, skateboard,
Oh,
uh,
same thing.
dancing at church, hanging out on the streets sometimes with your friends, being an actor, right?
Yeah.
I had all these different things going, and I would say what really blessed me too in my childhood growing up in Southern California. I've always said this: California is a melting pot from a satellite view. Once you're in, it can be very segregated, but still, I grew up around different ethnic groups. So
Right.
I grew up primarily in a Hispanic culture in Norwalk. I went to school in Cerritos, which was primarily Asian. Also
Yeah.
in Norwalk, I grew up around my Indian brothers and sisters. And then in show business, I grew up. You're hanging around a lot of your Jewish and Irish brothers and sisters, right? Your
Yeah.
Italian brothers and sisters. Then I'm black, so I'm obviously going to have my ethnic cultural experiences. But I learned diversity just through my various relationships in my 40 years of living. Just what it means to how you speak to someone.
Well, I
If
mean, and when you get right down to it, everybody's we're just people.
we're just
We're
people.
all basically the same.
I love the religion of humanity.
Yeah.
That's kind of my religion. It's like, how are we treating each other? Cultural differences are beautiful, and it's okay to embrace cultural differences as
That's right.
opposed to trying to impose our perspectives
Right.
on others. Learn, embrace, uh, mesh them together. Combine, create a team dynamic. Shaq and Kobe
Yeah.
were two different people, but they made a dynasty, right? It's like Shaq couldn't be Kobe, couldn't do what he did, and Kobe couldn't do what Shaq did, but they won some championships.
They struggled
Laker
getting
fan, by the
along at
way, if you
times.
didn't know.
They won some championships.
They won some championships, but that teamwork, that coming togetherness, it's important, man. It's important. It
Yeah,
really
it
is.
really is. It really is. Well, RJ, thank you. This has been terrific. I'm so glad we got through it.
We got like the pandemic, we survived.
We survived. Now you have to come back. We got to talk again.
Yes,
Maybe
man.
after the season we can talk a little about the season.
Yes, because we got our fingers crossed about a potential season 7. So
Oh, it's coming.
I would be, I
I think it's
believe
coming. That show's too popular, and the stories are still really strong.
they really are, man. They really are. They're touching on some beautiful topics. And as someone, who has friends in law enforcement, I think it's a great depiction of the importance of being in law enforcement, right? But also from the law enforcement perspective, the importance of knowing that your job is to take care of the community. So the rookie does this great balance of community meets law enforcement, where you're like, oh, I'm kind of getting a glimpse into real life. Like an officer is an actual person. Is every officer perfect? No, but you must understand they're human just like
That's
us.
right. That's
So
right.
it's like you get a chance to almost see their behind the scenes
Yeah.
through
Yeah. And I
the
love that about the show because it really does. It gives you a look into their off duty hours, and the
hmm
relationships they have out of work. And it makes you get more invested in them.
right, right. And that
Yeah.
alone can just help someone's, perspective shift.
Yeah.
So, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
So a couple things before I let you go.
Yeah.
Anything else that you have upcoming that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Uh, at this point, just watching my daughter go from 3 to 13. Uh
It'll happen like that. Speaking of snapping.
She's a baby, but oh boy, her and her brother, my kids, they're growing up fast. No, right now, just the rookie. I do a little bit of music, so I've got a little bit of music production I've been
Yeah.
investing in.
That's
well,
awesome.
and yeah, investing in over the last
Do
almost
you
15
sing
years.
or do you play?
I
Both.
do. I used to play drums, so I do
Okay.
not sing. And I took all my drum experiences and put it behind beat machines.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So shout out to my boy. I was just talking to him yesterday, Illa J, my buddy. Oh no, uh, G, what's up, brother? An amazing beat producer and engineer out in Brooklyn. So I'm getting ready to release some like instrumental stuff
yeah.
for fun, but I've gotten a chance to work with some great people. Shout out to DJ Maceo from De La Soul. So yeah, it's been it's another entity of myself that keeps me going creatively.
Yeah, if
And my
you release music, you have to come back. We got to
yeah,
talk about that.
yeah, I definitely I cannot wait for you to hear it. And then my wife and I are putting together a kids book.
Oh, that's
A
great.
kids book that's for ages 2 to 6, and it's primarily focuses on finances. So it's really teaching the value
I
of a
don't think there's many books like that for that age. I love that.
no, not because again, my kids, they're 3 and 5, and so they're asking for things. But now they're starting to understand money. They're like, "Oh, Daddy, how much does this cost? Can we go buy that?"
Yeah,
Whereas, before that point, they're just like, "I want this, I want that."
right.
Like, okay, that costs money. I'm not buying you that today. But they need to understand the concept now. It'll be way much more helpful to them for when they become adults. So yeah. So
Yeah,
other
that's
than
terrific.
yeah, man.
Well, so I guess the last thing I have is just where can we find you on social media?
That good old Instagram.
That's the best one.
Instagram.com. It's you know what? No disrespect to the Facebook, to the MySpace, to the whatever spaces and the X, Twitter. Instagram seems to be the safest and
It
easiest
is.
way
It's just
to find
pictures.
out.
We're just
Oh my
sharing our
gosh,
pictures.
sharing our pictures, and we've got the DM features. So if someone really wants to send you a message, and I actually found my literary uh, management company. Shout out to Sean, the team over there. I was able to connect via Instagram.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, trust me, Instagram has its benefits. I've come across some great people with IG. So yeah,
Yeah,
RJ
for sure. For sure.
RJ_Smith. That's my handle. So
And it comes right up. If you put your name in, it comes right up.
it comes right up. If you type in the rookie, I now come up.
Really?
Well, I mean, like if you type in rookie stuff, there's so many things that are tagging
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, it's going to
So
bring
you're
it up.
just like, if you just type in rookie, I'm gonna
You've been on a show for a little while when you're getting
yeah,
tagged
yeah.
in.
When you're getting tagged, I'm watching my followers. Ooh, let me say that word correctly. Followers grow incredibly over the last couple months here,
Yeah.
and
That's
beautifully.
good.
It's great. I mean, it's great, but it's all kudos to the rookie, man. And it's interesting. I'll leave this. It's also kudos to a very healthy career. What's so interesting is the rookie has actually brought up older projects I've done where people are like, wait, you were the guy in The Day After Tomorrow. It's like, yeah, you know. Oh, wait, you were Alan Strange. Oh, you were on Malcolm in the Middle. So you're like, oh, okay, I guess I did
You
do.
were Arlo on the guest book.
I was all on the. Oh my gosh! See, we got to come back and talk about that show.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd love to because
Shout out to Greg Garcia. Oh my
that was
gosh,
a fun show.
that was amazing.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was an amazing show. Oh yeah, we got to talk about that
Yeah, yeah.
one.
We'll tee that one up for next time because that I love that show. Yeah, I was disappointed when it stopped getting made, and it lasted a few seasons.
It lasted a couple seasons. Yeah. Yeah, I got beautiful stories about that one, and I only worked one day, so that's what's also interesting. I was in
Okay.
multiple episodes, but I only did one day. So yeah,
Yeah.
bring me back, Michael. We'll talk about it. We'll
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah. I circled it. We'll make sure to hit that one next time.
it.
Well, RJ, thank you so much. This has been
Thank you.
great. I appreciate you
Yes,
coming on. I know you're super busy. You got all this
I
family.
am. I am family stuff, but life is beautiful. Life is beautiful. Life is great. It's blessed. I have no complaints, man.
Yeah, that's terrific. Okay, hold on one second.
Okay.
Arjay Smith. I was so excited to talk with him. I've been waiting on that one for a little while. We've misconnected a few times, but such a great guy. He stayed in touch with me. We made sure to make it happen, and we'll bring him back. We have so much more we want to talk about. He's been so prolific in his career. We couldn't get to everything. Just running through some things, he was in Be Kind Rewind. The Day After Tomorrow, he mentioned right there at the end, he played Brian. Let's see, he played was Daniel in an episode of The Good Doctor. The Guest Book, he played Arlo for a bunch of those. Let's see, I meant to bring up Major Crimes. Loved him on Major Crimes. He was Dennis Price on there and thought he was just terrific. But he's been on NCIS New Orleans, CSI Cyber, Designated Survivor. He did Perception. He mentioned LeVar Burton. I think LeVar was in that I believe was a movie with Eric McCormick and Rachel Cook. Sons of Anarchy, Men at Work, Bones, Saving Grace. That's a great show. Medium, My Name is Earl. He mentioned Kobe Bryant. He voiced Kobe Bryant for Celebrity Deathmatch. Cold Case, Bernie Mac, Malcolm in the Middle. He mentioned he played Finley. Just a very prolific actor. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. Definitely don't take you for granted. If you'd like to support us, our YouTube page is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. Our website is meistercon.com. You can find every episode that we have, audio and video. I think we're around 740 now, so there's plenty of content. Thank you guys. Till next time. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm once again here to ask for your support. It's been a big year for the Too Opinionated podcast. Back in February, we got to live out a dream, moderate for William Shatner here in our hometown. In May, we passed 100,000 downloads on our YouTube channel, and we followed that up in June with 50,000 downloads on the audio side. We recently posted our 600th episode, which is pretty good volume for just a father and son operation. Not too many podcasts can keep that volume up. We've been doing this now for 4.5 years, 600 plus episodes. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is a really big deal for us because we've always gotten the views, but have struggled to get people to subscribe. So that 1,000 was a big deal for us. And best of all, we were recently named one of the top podcasts on IMDb, which is the entertainment database. Those that are ahead of us, we came in at number 82. Those that are ahead of us are bigger companies like Disney, mostly Marvel, and Joe Rogan, that type of podcast. So for us, being just a small West Virginia father and son podcast, to be in the top 100 out of 15 million, it's a pretty big deal for us. So thank you for everything you've done for us so far. Got a couple little ways, though, that you can help us, and they're free, and they're really easy. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, please go to YouTube. It's under MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Really helps us a ton. And maybe even more important, if you could go to IMDb, imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and just look around the page. Just having that traffic on the page really helps us out. So that's a couple easy ways that you can support us, even if you're not listening or watching all of the time. And we want you to listen and watch, because I think that our guest list, I would put up against anybody, any other show, podcast, anybody out there. I think our guest list holds up. So please check us out. You probably will find somebody that you like, or maybe somebody that you didn't know you liked, but kind of discovered them on there. There's tons of that. If you're into music, we have that too. If you like books, we've got authors on there. If you're more into what goes on behind the scenes in the entertainment world, we've got producers, directors, video artists, anything you can think of that happens behind the scenes, we've had them on the show. So definitely check us out. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.